everyone, and welcome once again to another Learning Bite on birth order. In the earlier Learning Bites, we had talked about the psychology of the firstborn. We talked about the psychology of the secondborn in the second Learning Bite, and in the third one, we talked about the third child or the lastborn. In this one, we're going to talk about the psyche of the only born. But before we get into the details of it, I'd like to tell you a little episode in my life, someone who made a lot of difference at that point of time. And it was a friend of mine, and she was the only born. I must say she was the most wonderful person I knew. She was extremely loving, kind, and more than anything else, she was perfect. I mean, there was nothing that she did which was wrong. She was always perfectly turned out. Her clothes were always in order. Her shoes were always polished. And, if you called her for a party, let's say a birthday party, unlike us who would heap all the nice goodies on the plate and try to start gobbling things down, she would know exactly how much to even, serve on her plate. It shouldn't look too crowded and messy. You wouldn't find, ketchup on her shirt or, on her lips. It would be always perfect. And even by chance, she did manage to get some ketchup on her lips, she would be able to take out this hanky, without a flutter, without any, delay, perfect white, snowy white hanky, and dab her lips with it. And she would do it with so much of class, and we would look at her with wonder. How are you like that? My mother used to love her a lot. To like her a lot, and she used to keep telling me, why can't you be like her? Look at her. She is so perfect. Look at her, how she carries herself. You always look like a mess. You're more like a tomboy. Remember, I'm the last born. And you will never see her doing those kind of things which you guys end up doing. And I used to look at her and wonder, what does she do which is so perfect? So I'd observe her. I observed that, even when she came into my house, she would talk to my mother like a friend. She'd walk in and say, hi, auntie, and oh, wow, you're making something so nice. She'd go to the kitchen and say, can I help you with that? And my mom would say, sure. And then they would start talking, and suddenly I'd find myself like feeling a little odd, left out. Now, I asked her once, I said, how on earth do you manage to be so perfect? I mean, there was nothing wrong about what she was doing. She was nice to me also. And she thought about it for a minute, and then she said, I am like this because that's the way to be. I am like this because that's the way to be. It didn't make any sense to me because it didn't answer my question. But when I look at it in terms of being the only child, it makes complete sense. Because only children do absolutely perfect things. They are more perfect than perfectionism. They are more adult than adults. I mean, of course, it matters what you observe in your parents. So her parents must have been very well behaved. But they are by nature perfectionists. Now, only children are often criticized for being too bound to being perfect, wanting to be perfect all the time. That is one aspect. And they're also criticized for being self-centered. In fact, if you look at what Adler says about them, it's not very complimentary. He says they're all self-centered and they want everything their way. But I think that's an exaggeration, and I think it was more opinion-based. But I don't think that they're necessarily self-centered like that. And you have to also look at the reason why they are the only children. And that kind of gives you an idea as to whether they'll end up being more self-centered or they will, the kind of psyche that they might end up having. Now, The first type of only children, if you observe, are those where parents wanted to have more children and didn't. It could be because of a variety of reasons, but they had one child, and most likely they were born in, when the parents were a little older. Now, what happens to this child who's been born in a family where children were perhaps wanted, more children were wanted, but there's only one child? What is going to be the psyche of the parent? They will try to be the best parents that they can possibly be. They will be very conscientious. They'll be very caring. They will do lots of things to ensure that the child grows up to be the perfect human being. They'll give this child a lot of attention, right? Now, what happens with that? The child becomes the center of their universe, which is fine. But for the child, he becomes or she becomes the center of her own universe also. How does that impact the child? Well, perhaps the reason why they cannot see things from another perspective is just that. They can't think that there is another world apart from their own. See, just think about it. The child grows up, he's observing the parents. Everything he learns is from the parents, or she learns is from the parents. The first social contact, official social contact, is, apart from the grandparents and the relatives who come and go, is a school. It's the first time that the child realizes that there are other people and there are other children who are looking to get attention from the teacher. You will find that automatically, because they are observing the adults very closely, they become very perceptive about what will please the teacher. And they very often become the best student because of that. Because they know, they've been observing the parents. They know, a little look here and a little look there. They know that, okay, this is what the parents want. And as when they go to school, they know what the teachers want. And they start becoming the best students. They'll be the ones helping out, doing all those things. Now, these children who are born to parents who perhaps wanted more children but have only one child and who are being pampered also get protected a lot. The parents spend a lot of time explaining things to them. They want to be perfect. Remember, the parents also want to be perfect. So they will spend a lot of time trying to make them perfect, but they also end up protecting them. So when they are protected a lot, they're also protected from reality. They're also protected from consequences of their own actions. It might be explained to them, but there are no consequences often. You try to almost treat that person like a special human being, and a lot of logic is fed into the child, and this is what you should do, this is what you should not do. But the reward and the punishment, sometimes there's a mismatch in that. So they give a lot of rewards to the child for behaving well, but when it comes to punishments, well, very often they are not recognized at all. Now, this leads to a certain sense of entitlement, you could say, which a child can get. And even when they grow up, sometimes they don't understand the consequences of their actions because they've never been made aware of it. Now, these children, when they grow up, sometimes tend to get very angry with the world because, they might want to do certain things. And suppose if the world is not recognizing that and not giving them that entitlement or whatever they feel they're entitled to, they start feeling angry and they start feeling they're being victimized. The whole world is against them almost. So the guidance that I always end up giving only bonds is that don't get too caught up with either of the two extremes. Feeling all important, realize that other people have opinions, and don't start feeling victimized either. That awareness, that balance has to come within them. Now, the other type of only child is the one whose parents decided that they wanted only one child. They wanted to do a good job, But with one child, they said, we're going to do the best that we can. So everything was planned for this child. So even behavior was planned. If the first type of child is allowed a lot of freedom to be what they want to be, you'll find them being creative. But this child is already stuck in a way. He's supposed to behave in a particular way. Everything is supposed to be of a particular type. The behavior has to be in this way. So everything is very structured. You should get up in the morning, should do this, then you should do this, then she should go here. This is the school. Like I know somebody who, in their family, they have one child every generation, and every time when the child is 5 years old or 7 years old, they're sent off to a specific school. And that's the pattern. And you can't break it. And there's always one child and they all go to the same school. Now, this is a very typical, structured, only child environment. Now, the child, as he's growing up, of course, tends to follow whatever has been told to do because he has no options or she has no options. But when they feel that they actually had other plans in mind, or they would have liked to do things differently, sometimes they become extremely depressed. They start feeling rebellious. They go absolutely anti-establishment at times, and there's a certain sense of resentment which they start building up within them. So at one level, you will find these children being extremely confident, sure about themselves. They carry themselves well. But inside, very often, what we see is a person who's extremely scared, highly insecure, doesn't feel accepted at times, and can be extremely unhappy because they don't fit in anywhere, especially when what they consider as a perfect world, the world doesn't accept it as that, So they get frustrated, angry, and but outside they'll always appear as if everything is fine. So remember, the only child tends to be a perfectionist. Everything they do has to be perfect. That's what they have done all their lives. But what happens if they don't? They become the discouraged perfectionist. Now, who's a discouraged perfectionist? They have an image of themselves that they are like this, like what the world perceives them being. They're caring, they're nice, they're organized, they do their work perfectly. Whatever their parents and the environment has taught them is the right thing to do. But on the other hand, their actual self-images, I can never match up. It's not enough. I'm actually disorganized. Actually, I'm not caring. Actually, I get angry. I'm not this. I'm not that. And that is extremely upset. So it's almost like you have a split in the self-image. What the world thinks of you and what you think of yourself. And that can lead to a lot of issues. So how do you deal with this? You have to define for them a new sense of perfection, which is imperfection. You have to keep reminding them of their successes and not of their failures, because they by themselves love to criticize themselves the most. There's a voice in their head which keeps telling them it's not good enough, it's not good enough. So with that, we come to the end of this learning bite on only children. I hope you enjoyed it, and please do leave your comments on the channel, on the Human channel, and we'd be really, really happy to get some information about how you're liking it. Also, I'd like you to tell us what are the topics that you are really and personally interested in. We will create more content according to what you like. With that, we come to the end of this learning bite. Thank you very much. See you soon.